Ma'am, we are about to start. Is it okay, ma'am?
Yeah.
Screen sharing later.
Yeah, I will.
Most respected guest speaker for the day, Dr. Sarla ma'am, who's a medical doctor, worked at Bangalore Sports Authority of India for almost 29 years as medical in charge handling national camps. And right now she's the Dean at National Institute of Sports in IS Patiala for the last 1.5 years. She was a team doctor of the Indian contingent at Athens, Beijing and London Olympics. And also the contingent doctor at Manchester, Melbourne and New Delhi Commonwealth Games. Attended as team doctor to several Asian championships in football, athletics, weightlifting. As a medical officer for Khelo India Games in Pune and Guwahati for organizational structure. Member of the committee for Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports to promote sports medicine in medical colleges. Indeed, it's a great honor for us to have you as the guest speaker. A person who understands, I think it's not just as a doctor, you are a person who's been a mentor. I think most of the athletes or elite athletes, they know you because you connect with them so well. Their problems are taken care of. That's how they tend to remember you more. So your contribution, you have a very significant contribution to the Indian sporting arena. At the same time, we have the PE, physical education and community coaching participants who are very eager to listen to you on behalf of the Ministry of Youth and Sports, Government of India, Khelo India, lectured by National College of Physical Education, on behalf of Dr. G. Kishore, Sujit, and all the delegates and the participants, a warm welcome to Dr. Sarla ma'am. Welcome to you, ma'am. I also welcome Sujit to this program.
Yeah.
And I also welcome Dr. G. Kishore and all the participants to this session. I'm sure it's going to be a very fruitful session and there will be a lot of queries. Ma'am, for your session, please. Thank you.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Usha, for such a wonderful introduction. And I thank Dr. Kishore, the principal, for having given me the opportunity to be associated with physical education teachers and to share a little of my knowledge with them. Yes?
Yeah. Can you share the slide, please?
We are going to share the slides.
Yes, please. So prevention.
Yes, ma'am.
To speak.
Madam.
Yes, can I start?
You have to go to slide 1.
Just a minute, madam.
Yeah.
Madam, now you can.
No, 1 second.
Yeah, now.
1 second. Good morning, everybody. Sports is a thing which captures the attention of the children because it is a kind of freedom they enjoy on the field. बच्चे लोग खेलने को बहुत उत्सुक होते हैं क्योंकि उनको लगता है कि वो सभी सबसे फ्री से खुशी से बाहर मैदान पे खेल कूद कर सकते हैं। इन बच्चों को हम ये देना है कि एक सुरक्षित वातावरण भी देना बहुत जरूरी है क्योंकि बच्चे खेलने के वक्त काफी टाइम गिर जा सकते हैं, घाव हो सकती है और बच्चों का खेल शुरू होता है छोटे बच्चे से 5 साल से शुरू होती है। थोड़े बच्चे फील्ड में आने में डरते हैं, जब उनको कोई घाव होती है तो वो फिर आने का कोशिश नहीं करते हैं। दूसरी बात ये भी है कि इनको जब फील्ड पे होते हैं बहुत गहरा चोट भी नहीं होना है क्योंकि हम इन्हें सुरक्षित रखना है, ये हमारी मकसद है। तो आजकल तो आपने देखा है खेल कूद बहुत मेहनियत बाब हो गया है अपने जीवन में। एक है खेलने, एक मजे के लिए खेलने की और दूसरी है अपने स्वास्थ्य बने रखने के लिए खेलना बहुत अवश्य है। इसके अलावा भी बच्चे एक डिसिप्लिन सीखते हैं खेलने में। They learn a lot of discipline in what we call it as a personality development. बच्चे हार जीत को ग्राउंड पे सीखते हैं। जब ये बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट होता है लाइफ में, बच्चों को ये हार जीत सीखना है और सबके साथ मिलके खेलकूद बनाए रखना है। इसके लिए हम एज अ स्कूल, एज अ टीचर, हम बच्चों को ये स्वास्थ्य और सुरक्षित वातावरण बना के रखना है। नेक्स्ट स्लाइड प्लीज। अभी जब आप बच्चों को एक स्पोर्ट्स भी एक स्पोर्ट साइंस बन चुका है, क्योंकि अभी देखा गया कि काफी लोगों की मृत्यु भी हो चुकी है 19 इयर्स के पहले ही, क्योंकि बच्चों को काफी खतरनाक इंजुरीज हो
Ma'am,
चुकी है। That is, they have
ma'am,
got injured and there have been reported deaths below 19 years. And so everybody wanted to exercise some kind of caution when the children were to play. So areas were identified where children went for injuries and safety measures were ensured. So what are the things you can think of prevention? Whenever a child comes into play, it is important for you to first know the health status of the child, because sometimes the child will be having some kind of congenital problems, cardiovascular problems, and musculoskeletal issues, or psychological issues, or some kind of chronic illness like fits. So when a school enters a child, it is very important for you to note down these health issues in your records, so that you can take specific safety measures during the playtime of this child. जब बच्चे स्कूल में आते हैं तो अब बहुत जरूरी है कि आप बच्चों का हेल्थ हिस्ट्री लेना है। और बच्चों को कोई मस्कुलोस्केलेटल प्रॉब्लम है, पाँव में कोई प्रॉब्लम है, या बचपन से कोई हार्ट प्रॉब्लम है, या ब्रीदिंग प्रॉब्लम है, दिल का दौरा पड़ता है, ये सब आप जरूर लेना बहुत जरूरी है एज अ पीटी टीचर। आप ये नहीं है कि बच्चे को लेके जाके ग्राउंड पे ऐसे ही खिला सकते हैं, क्योंकि जब आपको ये पता चलता है कि अगर कोई घटना हो सकती है ग्राउंड पे, तो आप इमीडिएटली रिएक्ट कर सकते हैं। एंड इसके अलावा एज अ टीचर, आपको हमने देखा है काफी स्कूल्स में प्लेग्राउंड इतना साफ सुथरा नहीं होता है, एंड कभी कभी ग्राउंड कहीं जगह होती है और स्कूल कहीं होती है, तो बच्चे खेलने के लिए रोड क्रॉस भी करना पड़ता है। तो इसके लिए आप ध्यान से जब स्कूल में बच्चों को खिलाते हैं, तो आप पहले ही आइडेंटिफाई करके रखना है कि क्या क्या सेफ्टी मेजर्स उस ग्राउंड पे है। और बच्चों को सेफ्टी मेजर्स, इंजुरी प्रिवेंशन के लिए आप ये ध्यान देना है कि अगर बच्चे स्विमिंग करने जा रहा है तो उसको कौन रहना है, कैसे लेके जाना, किसको लेके जाना, क्या प्रिवेंटिव मेजर्स है, और अगर रोड ट्रैफिक है कैसे लेके जाना है, क्रॉस करना है। अगर इंजुरी हो गई तो बच्चे को किसको बताना है, कब बताना है, कहाँ पहुंचाना है बच्चे को। अगर सिर पे लग गया तो आपको क्या इम्पोर्टेंट देखना पड़ता है, या हेलमेट पहना है तो कैसे पहनना है, अगर स्कूल रोड क्रॉस करा, ये सब आप बहुत ध्यान से देखना पड़ता है। बच्चों के लिए एक तरह की एक रिकॉर्ड मेंटेनेंस होनी चाहिए। नेक्स्ट स्लाइड प्लीज। इसके अलावा नेक्स्ट स्लाइड प्लीज। अभी देखो, और एक है बच्चों को खेलने के लिए। आप जब खेलने के लिए बच्चों को खेलने के लिए छोड़ते हैं, उसमें तरह तरह के बच्चे होते हैं। जो बच्चे डरते हैं, जो बच्चे अग्रेसिव होते हैं, जो बच्चे पूरी तरह से कूल खेलते हैं, थोड़ी बच्चे जहाँ खतरा है या थोड़ा बहुत हेक्टिक एक्टिविटी है, वो जाना नहीं चाहते हैं। शायद उनका भी हो सकता है कि उनकी न्यूट्रिशन लेवल ठीक ना हो, या मनोबल नहीं हो, ऐसे भी हो सकता है। सो इस टाइम आप जब एक टीम बनाते या बच्चे लेते हैं, आप ये भी ध्यान देखना है बच्चों का मनोबल कैसा है बोल के। आप अगर एक डरा हुआ बच्चे को एक बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग बच्चे से डाल दिए, the other child will aggressively emotionally damage the younger child. Second thing is, अगर बच्चे को एज डिफरेंस है, एक छोटा बच्चा बड़े बच्चे के साथ खेल रहा है, बच्चों को पता नहीं रहता, बड़ा बच्चा छोटे बच्चे को घाव भी कर सकता है, या इमोशनली he can weaken the child. So as a PT teacher, it's your duty when you form a team or game, you should see all these things to the children. And इसके बगैर ये नहीं है कि आप बच्चा आज आ गया आज उसको इमीडिएटली खेलने कूदने को डालो, नहीं, उसके हिसाब से जो स्मॉल ड्रिल्स होते हैं उसको डालो, धीरे धीरे उसको make him aware that he has to do some of the warm up exercises, small drills, and make him feel comfortable and enjoy every moment of the sports. नहीं है तो बच्चा घबरा जाएगा। दूसरी बात है, बच्चे जब आते हैं आपके पास, अगेन अलग अलग स्टैंडर्ड्स के बच्चे होते हैं, एक रईस की होती है, गरीब के होते हैं, शूज होता है नहीं होता है, बट कोशिश करो कि उनके कपड़े ठीक ढंग के होते हैं स्पोर्ट्स के हिसाब से, और शूज भी ठीक होते हैं, क्योंकि इनकी या ना होने से इनका घाव बनने का बहुत चांसेस होती है। और इस बच्चों को जब आप खिलाते हैं, चूज द टाइम ऑफ द डे, कब खिलाना है। ये नहीं है कि आप उनको खेलने के लिए बोलना है कि धूप में 12 बजे लेके जाके खिलाओ, नहीं, क्योंकि कभी कभी हीट इलनेस हो सकती है, बच्चे डिहाइड्रेट हो सकते हैं, हीट स्ट्रोक हो सकता है। ये ध्यान रखते हुए आपकी पीरियड्स वेदर के हिसाब से प्लान करनी वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट है। और बच्चों को भी आपने खेलने के बाद थोड़ा रेस्ट देना है, पीने के लिए पानी की सुविधा होनी है, और वॉशरूम्स की सुविधा होनी है बच्चों के लिए, और they have to wear a proper kit for playing। एंड इसके बगैर मैं जैसे बताया, पेरेंट्स के साथ आप उनकी हिस्ट्री भी लेना बहुत जरूरी है। जब जो पीटी मास्टर जब प्लेग्राउंड चलाते हैं, आपकी जरूर ये होता है कि यू हैव टू लुक फॉर द मेडिकल एड्स ड्यूरिंग योर ट्रेनिंग आवर। ये नहीं है कि अगर आपके पास डॉक्टर भी नहीं है, नर्स भी नहीं है, तो एटलीस्ट द फर्स्ट एड किट आपके ग्राउंड पे होना है। फर्स्ट एड किट ऑफ कॉटन एंड ड्रेसिंग पैड्स एंड थोड़ा बैंडेड, रोलर गॉज, अगर कहीं चोट लगा, ब्लीडिंग लगा हो गया बच्चे को, आप ये एटलीस्ट फर्स्ट एड कर सकते, प्रथम चिकित्सा कर सकते हैं। दूसरी बात, आपके इसमें एक ध्यान होना है कि अगर बच्चे को चोट लगा है, किसको इन्फॉर्म करना है, टीचर्स को इन्फॉर्म करना है, उनके माता पिता को इन्फॉर्म करना है, कैसा गहरा चोट है, इसके लिए आप उसका फोन नंबर लेके रखना है। अगर चोट थोड़ा भी गहरा हो गया तो कहाँ लेके जाना है, कहीं कहीं आपके बगल में हॉस्पिटल नहीं है।
Sarla ma'am, there's a lot of feedback coming, and most of the people, almost 70% people are understand English.
Okay.
So we will have to, if you could use more English and some Hindi, it will be
Okay,
better.
fine. So you have to make sure that the children, when you are playing, the medical facilities are available around the area. Like you have to identify places where there are hospitals. Hospitals, how far it is, private hospital or government hospitals. You have to find it from the school management where the child can be taken, because payment issues also come. Again, based on the seriousness of the injury, where you have to take. All these things, first of all, a homework should be done by a PT teacher, and you should have, for your general knowledge, all these parameters on your record. Then availability of ambulance, availability of a vehicle in case you require help. These things should be there on your record, and you should be make it possible that if something happens to the child, you should be able to take it. Next is regarding appropriate sports gear. I said sports gear again depends. Some games you have to use this helmets, chest guards, shin guards, and all. These helmets, these kind of protective equipment should be of the appropriate size. Sometimes they may be coming of a very poor make. Sometimes this thing may be peeping out those small knobs and all, and that itself can harm the child when the child falls. So make sure that they are of a proper quality, and make sure before the child wears the equipment, they wear it in a proper manner. Next slide. Next slide. And as I said, before participation, it is very, very important to have a medical history, and you should take the medical history and appropriate action to be taken. And I told you, never put the child into a sport demanding lot of his stamina when he is not prepared for it. It should be a guided procedure and slow and steady procedure. And if they have an injury, they should be assessed and Accordingly, they should be guided for participation. Next slide, please. Warm-up exercises and stretching exercises should be a part of your sport so that they do not get into any kind of muscle strains. And they should start at least 10 minutes before any activity and stretch all the muscles, and then they should hold it for 20 to 30 seconds. This should be a part of your training program so that you avoid any kind of muscle tear. Next. Hydration is a very important for a child, not only child, any sportsman. So you have to know when you put a child into a game, you should see that they drink enough water, and at least 30 minutes before an activity, they should start drinking water, and they can have sips of water also during the activity. And you should give a kind of a water break during the child, and accessibility for a clean water should be there for the child. And always tell them if they feel their urine is very dark color, then it is a sign of dehydration. And sometimes they may feel very weak and all that. Maybe if you are putting them under the heat, then they're not able to tolerate. Encourage them to drink enough water during training. Yes. Next. And sports gear, as I said, proper appropriate equipment is the thing of the sports, especially games where you have to use chest guards, helmets, and all those proper equipment. The coach or the PT teacher has to ensure that they are wearing it a proper way, and the projections in those things should not affect the child who's playing in case he has a fall or he has a wrong movement. This becomes very, very important, and it should be of an appropriate size. Another thing is, and whenever it is mandatory that the sports boots have to be worn during training, make sure that they wear it. Not that simply some people come for a practice and they say, okay, today I'm just practicing, I don't need a helmet, let me have a casual play. Especially in games like hockey, it often happens. The wrong direction or the wrong hit, or sometimes an accidental hit, can be very dangerous, and it can cause a lot of loss to the child. Maybe there could be a head injury or eye injury or a loss of teeth. Anything can happen. So never take a chance. There is not a day when you can say, it's okay, we can play today without the protective guards. So it has to be all the time as per the rule of the game. The rules are laid foreseeing all these kinds of injuries. Yes. Next. Now, sometimes we have the people, children, fall off during exercises. It happens. One thing is something called as concussion. It is a brief loss of memory. It happens, and this what happens is the children, when they are playing, especially in football, I have seen some people come and to almost hitting each other's head. To that speed it happens. Sometimes wrong planning of a game. I had an incident where a game was planned in such a way that a ball from the center had to be picked up by the two opponents from two sides, four sides. This was a recreational game which was planned for children on a concrete surface. When they went to pick up that ball, what happened? There was a collision of the head, and that person went in for a serious head injury and had to be hospitalized. So when you are planning any kind of a game, always see that there should not be any chance of a head injury. Sometimes a child is falling, standing for a long time during training, and suddenly he falls. That time also you have to know whether the child has hit the head against a stone or what is the impact while falling. And sometimes after these collision injuries, the child will not tell you. They may look okay, they may want to continue to play, but it is your duty as a teacher to stop them from playing. And these children should be kept under observation for at least 24 hours, and somebody senior should be put in association with them to monitor whether they have any kind of headache, vomiting, or collapse. Sometimes they can develop a complication even after 24 hours, and never allow them to play till you are making sure that they are fine at least for 48 to 72 hours. Because normally the urge of the child will be to go back to sports. They will say, no, I just got a small head injury, nothing happened, they will go back. But it is your duty to see if you feel that they're hit quite strongly, that they should not continue playing and they should be kept aside and evaluated by a medical personnel. Next. And child, see, one is for any recovery, sleep is very, very important. If you don't have a proper sleep, the child will get loss of concentration will be there, and they will not be boosting their energy. And there have been enough records showing that tennis players, swimmers, they had after a kind of a nap, they were able to perform better. Second thing is your biorhythm is set in order if you take rest. Many of the children have a habit of nowadays they are having the modern gadget of mobile phones, and they keep playing and they will not sleep and they do not take proper rest, and this will affect their performance next day. I had a case where one child never was able to sleep for almost 1 month, and he never brought it to the notice of his people. And when we followed up that case, he had some kind of a psychiatric problem. See, so sleep is an indication of not only a recovery, an underlying kind of a psychiatric problem also, and it has a lot of bearing on his overall performance and his performance also, and on his health the next day. See, the child also has to continue his schooling, plus in addition his physical activities. This will be a very taxing on the child and it may affect his health. So you have to ensure that the children take proper rest, and the next day when they report for training, this is one of the indicators. You have to ask the children whether they have slept properly, how was their previous day, what did they do. This kind of a small interaction with the children will give you a lot of information regarding their recovery. Yes. Again, playground safety. See, playgrounds, different kinds of playgrounds give injury to different kinds of people. See, playgrounds, again, if you have a mud ground, it becomes mandatory for you to see that the ground is very clean. There is no mud particles. There is, no, craters in the mud. It is very well leveled, no stones, and then it is well marked. It is very important for you. Even if you have, see, surfaces of a playing surface makes a lot of difference. If you have an AstroTurf, an old AstroTurf, I have seen injuries, very high rate of injuries are there. If the children play on that, they invariably report back with high rate of injuries of lacerations, and apart from that, they can have a severe muscle strains. So the purpose of you putting the children into training is lost if the surface is not all right. If you have a broken tile in a swimming pool, the children come back with a lot of cuts and things like that. And again, they can hit the base of the swimming pool, which is tiles are not okay. Then children below 5 to 9 years have a high incidence of injury. Then second thing is, if your surface, like it is not properly watered AstroTurf, then again injury level is very high. And once you get a hamstring injury, it will persist for years to years, for almost months to years, and it can be kind of a hindrance for a proper performance of the child. I have seen in Kabaddi, when they shift their venue from the mud ground to the synthetic turf, more injuries I have noted on the synthetic surfaces. I don't know, maybe the surface adjustment to the surface or the speed or what, I don't know. But serious grievous injuries are also there. So a coach, when you are training, when you're giving a new training, start with a slow pace when you're changing a surface. Don't go all out for a kind of a competition on a new surfaces, because children will not be used to it. Second thing is your things like climbing equipment and nets, all those should be of a proper surface. There should not be any projective iron things from those surfaces, because injuries can happen. And children, in the anxiety and in the zeal to play well, they go and sustain injuries. Sometimes these injuries can be serious. So whenever you're putting these children to such kind of playing, supervision is very, very essential, and it becomes the importance of a coach or a PT teacher to be around with all responsibility, because injuries can be later may cost the life of a child. Next. And drowning also, I mean, in swimming, whenever you have a swimming pool or you have to train a child for swimming, never leave a child alone. First of all, before you take a child for swimming, make sure that the child does not have the history of fits, because they get into the pool and get into the fits, you will not be able to help. That is one. And then second thing is, they should be fenced, should be it should be properly, wherever there is a water body, it should be properly fenced so that the children do not go into the pool. Third, they should always wear a life jacket, and there should be a supervisory person who knows life saving skills in and around. And it is not just being in and around, he should be dedicated person who watches the movement of the child in the water. Because if the child is not properly monitored, if there is some accident, if we cannot save, even being on the pool, it becomes dangerous. So it is very, make sure that even when you take children for this summer camps and all, that you should have more people monitoring the children, and it should be restricted, and you should have a proper history of the child, and then they should be CPR learned. Next. And always the rules is very, very important. See, rules are made why? Because children, when they are playing with all the zeal, and sometimes the anger to win or the urge to win forces them to manhandle the opponent. This often happens in games like hockey and all. You have seen instances there. Sometimes they use their hockey sticks to hit the other. So this kind of, because it is not that he wants to hit, it is the spirit of the game. That is the reason now rules are introduced. This is one. Second thing is, there is a kind of a discipline in the game. Third is to prevent injuries happening in the game. See, once he hits, second hit, sometimes if a forcible hit, supposing with a stick on the head, it can be very grievous. And we are playing here not to cause harm to the other. It is a sportive spirit. We should play to win, but not to cause harm to the others. That is one thing. Then second thing is, if you don't know proper rules of the game, you can cause more harm. Like example, in a judo, there is something called as a choke. So when they're using the choke, the umpire should be fully aware of that when he has to talk. The person will tap the floor and say, I am enough, leave me free. But if that movement is not seen by the umpire, then there could be a grievous injury on the athlete or the opponent. So the player. So it's very important in such things. Rules of the game is very, very important. So person, you have to know everything about the game before you get into the game itself. And even to help the children, you have to teach them also certain rules. Next. And this is one more thing is about an athlete who's being injured. It so happens that no athlete is healthy. I mean to say, injury free. Games, sports means there will be injury. But again, with what kind of an injury you can still continue playing? Again, it is the stage of the injury it matters. Like you have a hamstring injury of grade 1 and you go and play, you will continue to progress on to grade 2 or grade 3 injury. So it's if it is a grade 2 injury, you should not play an active sports. But you still want to do it, again it will worsen the injury and your chances of getting recovery is very less. Supposing you have a kind of a pain, like a niggling pain in the ankle. Niggling pain in the ankle for long persistent, it could be a stress fracture. If it's not well investigated, it could be land into to a serious injury where you may lose a major part of your time in recovery if it turns on to a fracture. And another thing is, supposing the child gets giddiness or something like that, he doesn't tell you and he goes to play. That can be worse. So it is always that the child should, as a PT teacher, it is your duty also to find out from them what are the things they have. You can just ask them, you went home today, so what did you do? Did you apply ice? Did you recover? Did you sleep well? Did you eat well? What is the diet you take? Are you doing your proper warm up? All these things becomes mandatory questions for you to know how the child is following up your advice. And once the child comes into training, you should not load once for all. It should be always a graded training depending on his improvement. So, and recovery should be a part of the game, and you should tell them that they should give some kind of a physical rest to the body to do better the next day or the next week. So if there is an injury, especially soft tissue injuries, advise them to continue with their icing therapy, which helps in controlling the inflammation. That is 10 minutes of ice for every 2 hours they can apply in the first 24 to 48 hours. So that gives helps them, promotes healing faster. Because in the other fields, in the field areas, you may not have all the physiotherapy. At least 24 to 48 hours, if you can give this rest and ice therapy, it will be a major help to the child to recover faster. Yes, next. Then again, ethical decisions, like you have to make certain thing is, there has to be some kind of, one is a coach safety and protection. Coach safety here, it is important when you are interacting with the child, how you behave with the child also. So you have to have your own sports ethics. See, many of them, you children, when they come to play in the ground, they expect you, they treat you more like parents. They expect you to take care of take care of them like parents. They disclose everything. So you should have your own ethics as to how far can you use a child for physical training. It is not that you want to see a medal in them, go on making the child overdoing things beyond his capacity, or supposing the child is still weak, you put him, or a child doesn't fit into the game as per the qualification, still you put him, showing favoritism. All these kinds will bring down the image of a coach. So always it is important that you have to develop some kind of ethics in your own thing. And if there is a misconduct by a child, you have to put it, punish the child in such a way that it does not harm him, but he should be known that he is wrong. And when you are having this thing, it becomes safe. It becomes very important for you to have a code of conduct in your own environment. One thing is, when you are handling a child, you are handling not only the physical nature of the child, but also the mental nature of the child. See, there are so many children who come with a different background, and some of them may feel low because their parental being may not be good, they may not be getting a good diet, they may be having a physical abuse at home because they don't do perform, broken families. There may be so many things. But as a teacher, it is you to bring out the potential, best potential in the child. You should not take advantage of the situations of the child. So child will be looking up to you. So one is building up the emotionally you are strengthening the child to face the world. This becomes a big task as a part of the sports. It's a very, very, very important that you bring out the best in the child. Second is, there is a lot of issues when the children come out to play. They are physically abused and they are also child abuse, and it is there. So it is important that you say, when you are training a child, never keep single child with you. Always train in groups. Never use them for your personal errands, to do physical work. And if there is inappropriate behavior by you, it will be reported. So you are under watch always. So you should not develop a kind of too much of an emotional bonding with the child, but at the same time maintaining a distance, you should try to bring out the best in the child. And it is said, next slide. See, it is said that at least 1 in 4 girls is sexually abused and 1 in 13 boys are abused. The physical abuse is one is you hit the child, you make him run around, do your household work, do all the work that you need. That is not appropriate. Child is coming here to learn the sports, not to do your personal errands. Second thing is sexual abuse. What we call it as a good touch and a bad touch. You're not supposed to touch the child in the wrong ways so that it gives ideas to the child, and child should not feel uncomfortable. A physical handling of the child should not be there. And if it is a female child, better to have a senior manager or another coach with you to handle the child issues, because there is a new act by the government of India called as POXCO Act, where child, it is a very serious act, and if it is found there is no nobody can help, and they will be put behind bars. So there won't be any kind of an inquiry by the department also. It's a very serious act. And then these children should not be even sometimes simply abusing the child, saying you are not performing, you're horrible, you don't do. That kind of a negative vibes should not come out of you, because you are supposed to bring out the best possible thing. If the child is not doing well, try to find out, interact with the parents, interact with the other school teachers, with the management, and find out what are the issues with the child, why the child is not doing. Because sometimes there are back home some issues because of which the child may not do well, and he may not be doing well with his friends. Find out and try to help the child out. Only neglecting the child and will also give a very kind of negative feedback to the performance of the child. Next.
Madam, a small video is there.
Ah.
Like to play this one.
You may have heard about child abuse and neglect. Do you know what they mean? They include acts of commission and omission and are preventable. Child abuse and neglect include acts of commission and omission. What are acts of commission? Acts of commission are deliberate and intentional. However, harm to a child might not be the intended consequence. Some examples include physical abuse, sexual abuse, psychological abuse. What are acts of omission? Acts of omission are the failure to provide for a child's basic physical, emotional, or educational needs, or to protect a child from harm or potential harm. Some examples include physical neglect, emotional neglect, medical and dental neglect, educational neglect, inadequate supervision, exposure to violent environments. About 1 in 7 children experience some form of child abuse or neglect in the last year. But we know the problem is underreported. That's why a consistent definition is so important. The good news is we can stop child abuse and neglect before it starts. What can we do? We can work together to promote safe, stable, and nurturing relationships and environments so all children reach their full potential. Some strategies to consider include strengthen economic supports to families, change social norms to support parents and positive parenting, provide quality care and education early in life, enhance parenting skills to promote healthy child development, intervene to lessen harms and prevent future risk. These strategies help create families, neighborhoods, and communities where every child thrives.
Madam, next slide.
Yeah. Now, what are the first aid procedures you need to do? The first aid box should contain your adhesive plasters, band-aids, dressings, and scissors and at least the adhesive plaster should be there, and the soft dressing should be there. And these should be there in your first aid kit all the time. And as soon as there is an emergency, you try to assess what kind of an injury it is. See, this comes by, for you at least you should commonly in the play fields, you will have something called as lacerations and incisional wounds. Lacerations means it's just a cut. So only you can do a first aid, clean the wound with a Dettol and apply the band-aid and the dressing and take to the doctor. If there is a sprain or strain, immobilize the joint with a crepe bandage, apply ice and take to the doctor. So these are the first basic things what you can do. And if it is a very serious injury, supposing there is a bleeding, try to stop bleeding. Try to stop bleeding. Here, one thing I want to tell you, when bleeding occurs also, many of them go and apply ice. Ice will not stop open bleeding. You have to just clean it with a clean handkerchief or a gauze. Apply pressure on that area for a few minutes, then the bleeding will stop. Then you remove that bandage and reassess, the bleeding would have totally stopped. But some people go on applying ice. Ice application is only for a closed wound where open wounds are not there, where open bleeding is not visible. Then you make sure that the child is transported to the medical unit, or you can call for some kind of assistance and move the child. If it is a very bad situation, then CPR is needed. Yes. Next. I think, see, if there are different situations here, if there is, before this, I think we should have shown the CPR. Anyway, if there is a musculoskeletal injuries, just as I said, application of ice, that is give rest, ice, compression and elevate the area. Application of ice for 10 minutes, you can do that. Once the pain comes down, they can be moved. If there is a bleeding, it is direct bleeding. Usually it happens as bleeding happens as an injury around the eyes and cheeks and all that. Only see that there is no major injury around. Sometimes you get cuts near the eyes, but it won't be eyes, so nothing to panic. Just clean the wound and apply pressure and reassess, the bleeding would have stopped. If it is a bleeding from the nose, most often you will have bleeding from the nose in the children. It is mostly due to heat, and it will be what we call it as idiopathic with no reason. In that case, what you can do is with your with your thumb, you can just what we call it as nuts area, that is a nose ring area. First find out from which nostril it is bleeding, then you apply the pressure of your finger or that nostril. For some time, the bleeding will stop, and ask the person not to cough. Because if you cough, the clot which is formed will dislodge, and again fresh bleeding may be there. Then the second thing is you can apply a gauze or a kerchief soaked in ice over the nose. This also controls bleeding. If further help is required, then you have to take it to a doctor. Excessive bleeding can continue only in case of major reasons. Otherwise, normally it gets controlled. Then if there is a fix on the ground, only make sure that the child is not harmed by any of the objects, pointed objects in and around the area. And then don't try to pull the hands and legs and giving that iron keys and all. It won't help. Put the person in the recovery position, that is left lateral position, and see that there is no kind of any object disturbing the person. Once the fits is controlled, then you find out the history, whether the child had fits earlier, whether the child was on medication, or if it is a new recurrence. If it is a new recurrence, maybe you have to go and follow up for the child. If it is a previous, probably the child would have missed the medication. Make sure the child takes its medications properly. And next is for the unconscious, for the drowning patient. If the patient has no breathing or heartbeat, do a CPR and shift to the hospital. If the breathing and pulse is present, put in a recovery position. But before you do all this, always a lifeguard should be there, and somebody should take care of the control of the crowd, and somebody should take care to inform the ambulance to be in place. You can't keep waiting. So these these measures should go on simultaneously when you are doing the first aid. Next. Now, cardiopulmonary resuscitation is a very, very important thing for anybody and everybody. It's something like every layman has to know. What happens is normally it is done in cases when a person suddenly falls unconscious, and sometimes his heart may stop. His breathing and pulse may not be there. So what you do is, once the person is there on the ground, first you have to check. It may be sometimes because of a vasovagal attack, what we say is suddenly they will fall because of some kind of a stimulus. In such cases, when you call out their names, they may be unconscious for a few minutes and they may gain. That is the reason. First you call out their names, check for their response, try to pinch them and see whether they are responding to pain. Then second thing is, open their airways and see that there is put the fingers under the jaw and open the jaw point. Then you look whether they are breathing by hearing the sound of breath near the nostrils. Next. Then pinch the nose, pinch the nostrils. Then you open his mouth with the chin upwards, give him a breath. This is what is called as artificial breathing or mouth-to-mouth breathing. Next. If you don't feel the heart rate, then in that case, put your hands on the Xiphis sternum. Xiphis sternum means the lowest part of the chest cavity is called, there is a point joining two parts of the thoracic cage. And at the central point, at the lowermost point, you are putting your left hand, over which you are putting the right hand, and you are making a kind of a grid lock. Without moving your elbows keeping straight, with great force, you are giving compressions up to 4 to 5 centimeters with a deep pressure. You are giving about 100 compressions in a minute. And these compressions, if it has to be given, supposing you have to revive him even for breathing, then you have to give 30 compressions. With every 30 compressions, after every 30 compression, 2 rescue breaths has to be given. This can be done by a single person, or 2 people also can do it. This is very life-saving. In the meantime, arrangement for the ambulance to be done, and the person has to be shifted. Many a times, if it is a very insignificant nature, people will be okay, they will recover. And they will get up and sit also. Yes, but this is very important to be done in the first golden hour, that is within 60 minutes of the person falling unconscious. Yes. Recovery procedure is a procedure where the person is kept on the safer side so that he does not aspirate anything into his the windpipe. So you keep the position of the body. First, you are making him picture, please. Picture, please. Recovery position. Next picture. Here, see, when the person is allowed to, he's lying, keep the left hand on the other side, and the right hand is moved to the left side, and the right leg is also at an angle, moved in such a way that the person rotates to the left side. So this is called as recovery position, so that he does not aspirate. Yes, next. A good coach is very important. Your job as a coach is a whole-time job. A whole-time job, I mean, one is not only on the ground, it is a follow-up of the child in and out of his playing area. Especially as you grow towards a specific game or anything, you have to progress watching the child grow. His emotional background, his psychological background, his eating habits, drinking habits, his movement, all that depends on your knowledge of the game, of the child. And this only can lead you to success. And it is a whole-time job, I should say. and often you have to keep yourself updated regarding the rules, games, and things like that, and about the child behavior. If you keep doing it, and if wherever possible, you can seek help, like a help of a psychologist or a nutritionist or a medical doctor. You can do that, and you will be giving very good results, because prevention is better than cure. In injuries, especially in case of sports, 50% of injuries, if not handled, the career of the child is gone. It will get over there only. In the prevention is more important than you going to the best of the doctors after the injury is not recovered. Because sports is such a thing, musculoskeletal injuries is such a thing. Once it gets harmed, recovery takes a long time to take place, and the child will be very enthusiastic to go back to sports. So you have to, the more you take care about preventive aspect, the better it is for you. Thank you. Next. This is regarding the parents. Parents also, one thing I want to tell you, here not all parents are pro sports. They are not at all near, they may not encourage, but they may feel that education is important. So the child will develop a kind of negative attitude if parents do not encourage. The other thing is, there are also parents who may put a lot of pressure. They may make the child want to be a champion in a day. So these two kinds of people where you get. So it is very essential for you to talk to the parents regarding this. I have seen, and I have been consulted when the child was hardly 3 months. Somebody asked me, how can we make the child Olympic champion? This was a question. So these kinds of situations are the parents may expect a lot, maybe one for the reason of being for achievement. Second thing is monetary benefits are there, and some love sports. So that may be a lot of pressure on the child. And not all children may be sports inclined also. But one thing is, even if he doesn't become a champion, it's okay. But at least you should help the child to become sports friendly. So at least to keep himself healthy. This must be the first trend of you than making a champion. You should make them enjoy the sports, be active in sports, and do well. Once this is built, then they themselves will go towards being a champion. Yes. Next slide. To summarize, you have to know about the sports what you're coaching. So sports in the sense here, you have to know about the playground, the facilities, the latest rules, and what you can upgrade yourself. You also have to, as a coach or as a PT teacher, you have to upgrade yourself, your skills. And then how to prepare the children for that sports. And you're regarding warm-up procedures, cool downs and hydration, proper dress material, what they have to wear, and the rules of the game. And in addition, CPR is a very must that every coach has to know, because you never know where the situation arises. So with these things, if you are strengthened, I think you will do well, because you will also learn the art of upgrading yourself, and definitely more sports involvement will be there and more champions will be born. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Yeah.
Now it is a question hour session, madam. A few questions are there. I request you to please answer or give your opinion on these questions, madam. First question is from ESK Rana. He says that for internal organ injury during a play, what treatment should be given immediately, madam? Generally, madam.
What kind of an internal organ injury is asking?
Generally, he is asking. Suppose a concern to internal organs like kidney or
See, you cannot see the internal organ injury like a kidneys. It's very unlikely. But the only thing, the internal organ injury in the sports is in triathlon, you get those handles, bar handles, and things like that hitting the stomach. That area, it is dangerous. Yes, because you will not be able to know unless they show some kind of clinical signs of a fall in blood pressure and severe pain may be there. In such case, you cannot do anything. You have to take the help of a doctor. You have to, only one thing is apply ice as it is. but immediately the person should be taken to the hospital, ultrasound scanning should be done. This is very, very dangerous because I'm telling you, sometimes the bleeding will be there inside and they will not notice it, and there can be following their death. This is one injury. Second injury is calf muscle injury. Calf muscle injury, supposing it's hurt with a kind of iron or a contusion injury, that also you can't take it easy, because sometimes the thromboembolic phenomena occur and it can be dangerous to their life. So calf injury also you have to take the medical help at least to rule out the possibilities. And the internal abdominal injury, this is all you can do.
Yeah. One more question from Saraswati Rajesh, madam. What first aid can be given to head injury?
Head injury, I told you, it is again depends on the stage. Head injury, what kind of a head injury, how much the head injury it is there. So what you can do is, first of all, you have to see whether the person is conscious or not conscious. Second thing is whether there's any bleeding from any area, whether there is an injury on the cervical side. Okay, if you are having cervical side, vigorous movement should not be there. And then whether there is vomiting and whether the person is conscious or not. And then you have to follow all the procedures which we have told in the AVC should be done, and the person has to be shifted, and again it requires a medical help. That is.
Madam, Fargus asked a question. What parameters should be considered to avoid injuries in kids during a play, madam?
Parameters in the sense, it depends on the game again. It depends on the games. Supposing you have athletics, there may not be much other than abrasions. But again, you are having a hockey, chances are there. Again, it depends on the ball, what you eat, how the child handles the stick, the technique. If they don't know, they can get. And even games, any games like Kho-Kho, Kabaddi, if they don't have a proper skill, more injuries can occur. So it's very important for you to have a proper technique training for the child to avoid injuries. And the primary thing is, depending on the game, any kind of injury comes. So first aid is important, and you should anticipate injuries in the case of, especially in contact sports.
Madam, one more question is that anonymous status. Any relation between BP and pulse they are asking?
For an injury, no.
No. Okay. Thank you, madam. Only few questions for that.
Sanjeev sir. Yeah, Sujit bol raha hu.
Yes.
Sarla ma'am, there are a lot of questions basically from people who want to understand CPR. A lot of people asking, is it advised to perform CPR without certification? Then someone is asking, kindly explain about the recovery position in CPR. So people actually are, I think there are quite a few questions where people want to understand about performing this.
See, CPR, this is only a video presentation. But if you want to learn properly, there are certification courses run by Red Cross all over. My advice is to all of you, you should go and take this certification. All the coaches and everybody should have a certification, practically learn it. Because any amount of me telling over the thing may not happen to you. Practically, there are Red Crosses conducting these courses. Please, it's hardly cost you around 500 rupees. You have to learn that.
Ma'am, which is a website or anything? They would find it on the Red Cross website?
Red Cross website, you find out. Many hospitals run this basic first aid, basic life support. So you have to go in for that, and you should have certification in that.
Right. So that is a message to all the participants that they should actually take a certification CPR, because you are going to deal with many children and many other things. So yeah, so please go for a certification in CPR.
Madam, one more question is raised here. For unconscious athlete, what is managed like ABC, madam?
This is what I have just said. It is regarding unconscious athlete means first is airway, breathing and circulation you have to see. Okay.
ABC basically. So it's
ABC, ma'am.
It is the same video which we have shown. It is the
Ah.
airway, breathing and circulation you have to see.
airway breathing circulation. That is
Yeah.
ABC. Okay.
Thank you.
Ma'am, there are some questions around what is the solution for ligament injuries.
See, again, ligament injuries depends on what ligament you get. So most common ligament is in the ankle, application of ice, same protocol, rest, ice, compression and elevation. And restriction of movements for around 48 to 72 hours. Then progressive depending on the swelling and the physiotherapy and how he progress. Based on that, we can manage. Ankle, that is one. Knee also same thing. Depends on which area it is affecting. Otherwise, the basic protocol is rest, ice, compression and elevation.
Hamstring also, ma'am. People want to understand about hamstring and
Hamstring injuries. See, first for you as a coaches, you have to do is application of rest. See, more where you go wrong is when an athlete usually comes in hamstring injuries complaining of inability to walk, and sometimes he may not tell you also if it is a grade 1. In grade 2, he says, I'm finding a lot of pain. Most often what happens is the coaches neglect this because this is not a visible injury. So they ask them to continue training. Here you should not do training. You should give them rest, ice and follow it with physiotherapy and slowly revert back to normal exercise. But normally in sports, what happens, because it's not a visible injury, many of them force them to continue to do training and then it becomes worse.
Madam, one more question is coming up. KV Prasad asks, what if a groin injury in cricket, madam? Groin injuries.
Groin injuries are usually adductor injuries, or sometimes it could be due to a stress fracture in the pubis. So it has to be clinically assessed. In the groin injuries also, again, movement should be restricted. Again, ice and compression should be there. And here there may be a prolonged period of rest followed with physiotherapy. And then if required, they may have to be assessed with an MRI scan or CT scan. And then accordingly, we have to take a decision.
Ma'am, my question is basically the difference between hot and cold therapy and some examples where what is to be done when hot and cold therapy.
Regarding?
Ma'am, Lokesh Shukla is saying that when should we give hot therapy and when should be cold therapy after injury. So,
see, normally hot and cold therapy is a recovery procedure. Usually after 48 hours you can give. But the first 24 to 48 hours, it's only the cold therapy. And it is usually to the limbs, hot and cold therapy.
Right. Ma'am, question around asthmatic cancer student. What type of activities do you prefer?
Asthmatic.
Yeah.
See, asthmatic, it again depends on the grade of asthma you have. Supposing you have a lot of respiratory problem where you cannot do it anything, but you can do some breathing exercises. Otherwise, you can do seasonally if you are taking premium. But only thing is, the drug taken for asthma is not allowed it comes under doping. If they are taking this thing, aerosol formation, they can play. I have Olympic participants with asthma also. It depends on the grade of asthma. Otherwise, you can play it.
Ma'am, one question Saroj Brahma is asking that during CPR, if there is some adverse effect, is a teacher responsible for that?
No. See, you are only trying to help. That's all. Nobody expects, nobody penalizes you for that.
Yeah, right, I think.
Madam, Ashutosh asks regarding knee injuries, madam, whether like a synovial fluid contents, whether that can be recoverable, madam.
No, there has to be some underground pathology. It can be recoverable because the underlying pathology needs to be treated for the synovial effusion.
Like preferably, madam, like Ayurvedic treatments are there. Some in European medicine, they go for this injections also. So
no, I cannot comment on that just like that.
Okay.
But in allopathy, if there is an effusion, one is aspiration can be done. It depends again, if it is a hematoma, you remove the blood. If it is just an effusion, there may be an underlying pathology that has to be investigated and treated.
Ma'am, there's a question by Mr. Thirumalai saying, kindly explain the role of psychology in sports injury management. Is there a relation or what kind of?
Yeah, psychology is very, very helpful to you because normally when an athlete is injured, he is very much depressed because he wants to go back to sports, and sometimes they have some kind of markers like that they have to do very well in the sports, and that will be a big hindrance to them. So that time you have to give them a boost to them and explain them that proper rest and treatment it can be done, because finally any performance depends on your mental strength. So psychology plays a major role during this.
Ma'am, right. One question by Mr. Anand saying that any food supplement for faster recovery in case of injuries.
So I will not recommend anything on this
Okay.
session.
Madam,
Ma'am, one question is, how can we identify concussion and what is a kind of first aid to give? I mean, what is a sign as a, from a PE teacher's point of view, how can they identify that it's concussion?
Beg your pardon?
So Julian is asking, how can we identify a concussion in the brain, and so what kind of treatment we can give? So the basic question is that how do you identify someone has got a brain concussion while falling down?
No, you cannot identify.
We cannot. So
You
basically,
cannot.
it's doctors who
The
can
doctor
know.
will be able to do it. Unless there is a history of a head injury and then getting a convulsion, you can say it's due to a head injury. Otherwise, you cannot make out.
All right.
Akhil Thomas asked, what can we do when stroke happens? I think this is answered, I think. So once again, you can focus on this.
What?
So stroke, madam. What can we do when a stroke happens?
What is the first aid for stroke? During fast running, if someone gets stroke. So
No, I think just you have to shift it to the doctor, that's all.
So, okay. Sir, any more questions from your side, sir? Sujit, sir?
no, ma'am, one more thing. People are asking about things like poor shoes. I mean, the role of equipment. So I think they also mentioned about poor shoes. Any sort of recommendation in terms of what they should be using while running or to prevent injury, basically.
No, I will not give any recommendation for that.
Okay.
It depends on that.
Right. Okay, ma'am. I think
Okay.
quite a few questions, ma'am. A lot of questions have been answered. So, Doctor, ma'am, it has been very insightful in terms of. My father is a doctor, ma'am, but
Yeah.
I have absolutely. I'll just tell you why I'm telling you just for this thing. So once what happened was my boss, when I was doing my first job, he asked me to check his pulse because he was having fever. I couldn't. Then he started laughing. He said that तुम डॉक्टर के बेटे हो, तुम्हें पता ही नहीं कैसे pulse check करते हैं. So I told him that my father is a forensic specialist. Only when the pulse beat and heartbeat stops is when he takes over. So my knowledge about this thing. So it's actually very insightful, ma'am, to hear about everything that you talked today. So I think very practical thing. I think everyone, all the PE teachers are going to benefit from this thing. And
Thank
like
you.
you mentioned, I think they should go for certified courses in first aid and also CPR. So that's, I think people should do that. And thank you so much, ma'am. Very extremely insightful.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hopefully, I'll be able to check the pulse now, ma'am.
Not in the dead patient.
Yes, ma'am.
Nice presentation, madam.
Thank you.
Even our respected principal sir is there. Welcome, sir, for this session. Do you like to add some more valuable things for this session, sir?
No. What valuable I can add when Dr. Sarla has spoken. She is the senior most in sports medicine in the country, and along with George, but Dr. George and other session also is there. But one thing only I would like to say that this subject about the prevention and first aid is something which every teacher, every physical education teacher, every community coach should be aware of. Because you would be, if you look into the sports scenario, we had been for decades along with Dr. Sarla in Bangalore and Trivandrum, Calcutta, Delhi, everywhere, Patiala, everywhere we had been seeing that some of the best athletes we had, the best sports talents, we had to lose them. They had to quit their active profession, sports career because of injury, mainly due to many of the instances we have noticed that it is out of proper care, ignorance, and not taking precautions. This has happened. So if the teacher, the physical education teacher, if the coach are a little more careful about the factors which has to be taken care, which can lead to injury, the prevention is better than cure. The prevention part we can take care of. So, and even if it happened, if you ignore it, not doing the first aid or not giving the proper treatment at the right point of time, ignoring it, and coming back to training without getting fully rehabilitated. And this again results into lands into bigger crisis, and they have to lose their entire sports career. So whatever has been spoken by Dr. Sarla and Dr. George and it has to be taken utmost care and seriousness. And here in medical matters, we have no compromise or no options. They had to be strictly adhered to. And if you do so, if you take care, if the teachers take proper care, we can avoid a lot of hazards and lot of injuries and lot of we can save a lot of people from getting into problem. So that is what I could say, and I once again place on record our sincere appreciation to Dr. Sarla and for having spared her time and made it convenient to be here for having making this presentation. Thank you, Dr. Sarla. And,
thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Concluding part. It was indeed a very meaningful, valuable, and practical information, madam. Dr. Sarla, madam, is in fact one of the most reliable sports medicine expert we have in India, a medical practitioner and a medical officer of SI NIS Patiala. Madam, on behalf of Ministry Youth Affairs and Sports, Khelo India, LNCP, and on behalf of our respected principal, sir, Dr. G. Kishore, sir, I thank for your valuable expert opinion on this topic, madam. Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, madam. Namaste.
Thank you.
This is for all the participants. Please go to https://schoolfitness.kheloindia.gov.in/tot.aspx. Today at 5 o'clock, we have a session on women in indigenous people's game. So, which is basically about social change through indigenous games. So, by Maria Ferreira, she's a vice president of International Association of Physical Education and Sports for Girls and Women. A very insightful session. तो आप 5 o'clock को आप आइएगा. Log in by 4:30. So log in by 4:30. It's going to be very interesting because वो indigenous people's games की बात कर रहे हैं, power and social changes के लिए. तो आपको community में ये सारे चीजें implement करने के लिए काफी helpful होगा. आइएगा around 5 o'clock. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.